Okay, hey everyone, this is Jack. Welcome to your free update. We are getting exactly what we wanted, and no, I do not mean a long weekend, even though it will be nice. Be sure to rest and relax. So we're coming into a new month here, June. Tuesday will be the 31st, the last day of May. And then what does all this mean since yesterday going higher in the markets in a pretty major way? As long as we're kind of closing around 4,100, even better 4,125 and higher today, signals to me that there is more upside, at least into 4,200, which is 50% retracements that I have kept on here, going from the most recent low to the beginning of the year highs, but also the April high. This one specifically is drawn right in between March and April because we did put in that high right at the end of March. So that's where my Fibonacci's at. And you can see it kind of holds up here at the 618. You could go, well, maybe is this overhead resistance? And I'm not going to look at it that way. I'm going to give the 4-hour chart here a little bit more room. I know that this thing has fired, and I know we talked about it a lot this week, but I think there's a lot more happening. And I think in this air pocket, we've talked about air pockets getting ready to short every push higher. I think we're going to go up to that 4,200. And so that would be kind of the crest of the next air pocket worth shorting. And here's the S&Ps on the right hand side. You can kind of see that we've made nice momentous move above 4120. 4125 is pretty key. And right now the question is, well, okay, if the 4-hour squeeze is fired, what does that mean for the daily? Well, guess what? I'm actually not looking at the daily. I'm looking at something much larger, and it's the weekly, and it's the histogram down here. I know it's just one yellow bar on the histogram on a weekly time frame, but I think it's very telling to help me as a trader consider, at very best, if we did push higher, where would we go? And I'm thinking another 100 points from here, 4220 up to that 50% retracement from the 2022. Well, okay, it was December of last year, but almost 2022, where the S&Ps were at 4808. So that's where I drew my high, and that's where I have my low, which is our most recent low right here that we just put in. Okay, so if we're looking at the Fibonacci's, or if you're looking at a weekly time frame with the Voodoo Lines, you can kind of get a grasp as to why I would say I wouldn't be surprised if we were pushing higher. So the next area that we have to clear is going to be closing above 41.45, and that's not far away. It just kind of matches up perfectly with our weekly kind of closing range right at the beginning of May. So if we make progress higher and start closing above 41.45, which is only 20 points higher, and certainly we could do it today maybe, well, then that's a very bullish sign. I think trading above 4,100 right now is a bullish sign for next week and quite possibly just the month of June. So just kind of expecting another rip higher, which is something that happens in bear markets where you're all of a sudden back into the 50% retracement, not far from there right now. That's only about 75 points away right now. But you also have some other things going for you. Like, check out this. You have the S&P chart. It'll take a second to load because there's a lot of data on here. Let me show you this. And while that's loading here, wanted to point out that on this 195, the question is if we've made it all the way this far, are we going to chop next week, kind of an undecisive week, 4 days, short week, kind of chopping around. If by Friday of next week we are above 4,100, this video will almost sound exactly the same next Friday because we will be making our way towards the 50% retracement higher. Okay, so right now this is more like follow-through strength from Thursday that we had, and that's awesome because there's nothing really interfering. I mean, yes, there's always going to be inflation rate hike talk, and we're not really it's like an escape room and you just don't have the key. We just got to accept that we're here, and this is the moment in time where we're going to be talking about the Fed a lot, and it's not going away. But I don't think this is, you know, a bad thing. All we have to do is check the dollar index, kind of take a look at commodities, what is crude doing, and make an educated guess as to where we could, where it makes sense to trade lower or higher. And so with the dollar being about 101 and not exactly taking off, here's the S&Ps, and it comes down to two things for me. One is I typically target the 50% retracement, and whenever I do this, I go, okay, well, how much more specific could we get? If we went to 4,200, why would we not go to 43? That's my whole thing with this market right now. If we're making this progress higher, then why would we just stop right in the middle of nowhere? Right? So we're kind of taking out lines in the sand where there's a checkpoint, checkpoint, checkpoint. We've already hit one major checkpoint today, and that's why this whole video is about the next checkpoint higher. So next week, we'll be talking about 4,200 in the S&Ps. Next week, we'll be talking about crude. This crude chart is just incredible. Check this out. We covered it all week. Check this out. We have three things on crude, and it is just, oh, I'm just so excited about it. You have structure, which means just a long trend over a long amount of time since March. I know it's been choppy and bouncy, and we've had a lot of the, global environment of what's happening on the other side of the planet kind of affecting crude futures, but you have structure. You have a squeeze on the daily time frame with light blue on the histogram, so that is bullish for now. We don't have green 10x bars, and that's okay as long as we have structure. I mean, I'd prefer them if I was trying to be long USO with some long calls or crude futures. You could certainly sell longer dated put credit spreads in USO if you wanted to. We're going to be talking about that like we always do on Tuesday whenever we come in next week. So there's a lot to look at on crude, and I'm a little worried that this might gap up on Tuesday because check this out. We have a high compression squeeze on the hourly chart on crude. So it's like, oh no, if you wanted to be flat over the long weekend, I'll be taking a look at crude futures whenever they open up the night prior. You've got an hourly squeeze on crude. We rarely see this, but you also have green 10x bars on crude as well. I mean, if you're trying to stay away from equities and you're like, Jack, I like the 4,200 idea on the S&Ps, but, I've been paying attention to commodities a little bit more. I'm looking for more structure. Here's structure. Here it is, and the weekly time frame looks solid. You're above a key Voodoo line, which was 111, and then on a weekly time frame, the quant pivot level, if you use those, you're looking at upwards of 116.5. And if we went to 116.5, maybe there's a little bit more wiggle room above that snow line, which is this white line right here. Maybe there's a little bit more room if we have some more squeezes that want to fire, i.e. the hourly high compression. So I bring this to you just because I think it's really important, and if you want to make some money, I think there's some really constructive ideas here. And so, I just, in my sessions next week, if you have questions for me, I'm here to support you, answer any of those that you may have. And then the daily on crude also has a micro squeeze coming out of that normal squeeze. I know I said that earlier, but this is very indicative of, once that hourly high compression starts to let go, it's not like the daily has a choice anymore. So are we going to see a second or third ATR break higher on the daily chart on crude? It remains a big question mark, but I think we're the kids with the answers before the test, and that's what I want to do. That's the joy of that's the fulfillment of this of what I do here. So looking forward to trading this crude with you. Looking forward to maybe pop into those 4,200 S&Ps and just kind of try to make sense of it all next week after the long weekend. So yeah, that's what we have for you. Pretty direct, just S&Ps, crude, and there's some squeezes here that we'll definitely be paying attention to on Tuesday. All right, long weekend. Have a good one, rest and relax, and we'll see you on Tuesday. Take care.
Thanks for watching this video. If you've enjoyed the video, be sure to like and comment down below to help us out. Also, be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon so you can get notified when we release our next video. And if you want to watch us trade in real time using our own money, go to simplertrading.com to learn how to sign up. Good trading, and we'll see you in the next video.